Stop making boring Midjourney images. If you're using Midjourney to help illustrate your ideas, I'm begging you, create cooler compositions and more interesting pictures using these 3 tricks. My name is Nolan Michaels. I've made over 70,000 Midjourney images, and I want to teach you what I've learned about making cool pictures that stand out from everyone else. There's one thing we can do before we click generate, and 2 things we can do after. The first one is a simple prompt trick, and I only recently came across it, so special thanks to Sideways Design for pointing this one out. The key thing you're going to focus on is what you write first in your Midjourney prompt. I think normally most people would write a prompt like, a medieval knight walking in a busy mall. We chose our subject and we contrasted it with a modern setting. It's a pretty cool idea and the results are fun to look at, but Midjourney has emphasized the medieval knight because that is what we mentioned first in our prompt. The knight is the main subject. But take a look at what happens when we do a little switcheroo and write the prompt with our setting first. A busy mall with a medieval knight. Essentially, it's the exact same prompt, right? All we did was mention the mall first, making it the main subject and the emphasis of our generation. Aren't these wildly different? At least more different than you would expect considering we use the same words. I have to be completely honest with you though, this trick does not work every time. I couldn't get this to work with a character reference, and that is disappointing. But when it does work, the results are amazing. Let me show you some more examples. First, we have a person plays the electric neon violin under a dimly lit cyberpunk streetlight. And these are cool pictures. I like them a lot. The subject is nice front and center. Midjourney can't really make ugly looking pictures, but it can create boring pictures, and I would categorize these as like a little less fun than the potential output. So we could rewrite the prompt like this. A dimly lit cyberpunk street with a person playing the electric neon violin. And just look at the difference. The camera is pulled back and we have a much wider view of our scene. If your subject is mentioned first, Midjourney will place them near the center and close to the camera. If you mention the setting first and then the subject, Midjourney might create a wider angle of your scene, with the subject usually landing farther away from the camera. And I was going to suggest that the shorter your prompt is, the more effective this technique would be, but that's not always true. I mean, take a look at this. A shadowy workshop cluttered with ancient timepieces where an elderly clockmaker adjusts the gears of an ancient clock. I'm a pretty big fan of these. We have a nice wide view of the room, and this picture in particular, like, that is just beautiful. Alternatively, we could have written it like this. An elderly clockmaker adjusts the delicate gears of an ancient clock in his shadowy, cluttered workshop. Exact same prompt, exact same wording, except we get a completely different composition for the picture. And you should know that your prompt doesn't have to mirror itself exactly. You have complete freedom to rearrange and rephrase it however you like to better describe your vision. Take a look at this. A rock star lost in the emotion of a solo performance on a cloudy, ethereal stage. Again, I like these a lot. They're focused on the subject and they are beautiful. But take a look at this. A grand concert hall with a single rock star performing on a cloudy, ethereal stage. You don't have to use the same words when you rewrite your prompt. Try your best to just focus on the subject and the setting while adding whatever other words you'd like. I think you get the point though. Now there are 2 more things we can do, and this comes after we've already generated. And this works regardless of what the original prompt was. We can alter the composition after it's made using the zoom feature. You can find this under creation actions and you'll see 2 buttons, a 1.5 and a 2x zoom. Those are probably fine to use, but you can click this little button beside the 2 and manually type in any value between 1 and 2. Go any higher than 2 and it will default as 2, and 1.9 wasn't working for me for some reason. I don't know. So we'll take this picture of our subject, the violin player, and we will simply zoom out. And you'll notice it's not going to tell you which zoom you used, so try to keep track. Stop having a boring night, stop having a boring life. We can use the same zoom technique on the night in the mall. And we can get some awesome pictures like these. I love that. The third thing we can do to make better images is adjust the composition by using the editor. Again, you can find this under creation actions, but you want to click more options. And the layout of these buttons might be different when you try this. The Midjourney website is constantly changing, but the point is you're trying to find the Midjourney editor. The editor is going to let you resize your frame, and then you can place your original picture anywhere on the canvas. You can also edit your prompt. However, rewriting your prompt is not going to do much, at least in this version of the editor, as Midjourney will try its best to match your scene based on what's already in the image, rather than what it says in the prompt. But there are 2 things to look out for. Definitely the chaos value. If you generated with some chaos, when you're doing these edits, you probably want it at 0. But if you're experimenting, try bumping it up and check out the variety of images you get. Let me show you some of these. I took the original picture of the violin player, shrunk him down a little and placed him near the bottom, and I erased the chaos value. Midjourney is going to fill the rest of the canvas with what it thinks fits the picture, and it's all going to be pretty similar. But take a look at what happens when I raise the chaos value to 55. That looks normal, but then we get something like that, and that is so beautiful, and that is only possible through a high chaos value. That one, not that great. Again, maybe lower the chaos value for normal generations, but if you are experimenting, bump it up, you never know what you're gonna find. The other thing you can look out for when you're editing your image and rewriting your prompt is you can try deleting the subject from the prompt. That's because sometimes if you leave the subject, Midjourney might also add that subject to the surrounding scene, and it's not always a good look. Like, here's our original knight down here at the bottom. Midjourney filled out the rest of the canvas, but because I left a medieval knight walking in the prompt, another medieval knight is going to show up in the image. So that's what you should look out for. Consider removing the subject from your prompt when you're using the editor. Another thing you can do is make your original picture really small on the new canvas, and take a look how interesting this is. Midjourney might create a completely new scene around it, but it sort of just blends into the original, and I think it's fascinating. Look how cool that picture is. It's so different. There's our guy in here. Can you see him? There he is. Look how weird this is. He's sort of just on this like background display. Awesome. And before we go, I want to emphasize the use of different parameters when you're making these edits, especially the chaos value, but you can play around with a bunch of stuff like style raw, the weird parameter, stylize, even Midjourney. Here's our original violin at the bottom and chaos 50 around it, and we get this beautiful background scene. Look how amazing that is. That's the opposite of a boring image. Gorgeous. And this might be one of my favorite ones. A random fluorescent umbrella fading through a brick wall. Look at the ambient light that shines off of it. Again, I'm trying to get you to stop making boring images, and this is one way to do it. I like this one a lot as well. And look at this one, I added my personalization code to the prompt. You definitely cannot predict what Midjourney will create when you do that, but it will be uniquely yours. I hope that helps you out. I actually went over that switcheroo prompting trick in my latest 20 Midjourney tips video, and if you want to learn more, you should watch that video now. I hope you're doing well. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Peace.